Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time.
Did you guys know that studies show poetry activates more parts of the brain than watching a movie or reading a novel? Yeah, poetry. Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we're helping the world experience what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of one of our newest amazing books. This one is 100 Poems and Possibilities for Healing. It's our volume 2. And I could not be more excited to introduce these amazing people to you today. Miss Cayenne, KJ Kashula, Jen Potter, Karina Hunter. Welcome, ladies. What's happening? How you doing?
Doing wonderful. Excited to be here. Excited for this project. Awesome
Ooh,
sauce.
such a beautiful book. So much heart and soul on these pages. I'm so grateful to all of you. And you guys, this project, this series is special. And I think all of our books are special, but this one, I have a pretty badass, amazing nonprofit partner, and she's here today. Miss Cayenne Thomas is the founder of the Inkwell. And this project supports her nonprofit. So when you guys hop over to Amazon today to purchase your book, it's going to help support that nonprofit. All right, you guys. So let me introduce you to Miss Cayenne Thomas. Miss Cayenne is a poet, performer, and safe space facilitator who has dedicated her life and gifts to championing the healing power of poetry and creative expression. Miss Cayenne, take a minute and tell me a little bit about the Inkwell, and then I'm going to ask you to answer that question that goes something like, why poetry? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Laura, for another opportunity to be a part of such an outstanding project, 100 Poems and Possibilities for Healing, Volume 2. We did it 2 times here, so that's exciting. And I'm always honored to be connected with great people like yourself and that wonderful authors on the call today. The Inkwell is part of my heartbeat, I like to say. It is part of my personal story of utilizing creative writing, poetry as a tool of healing, specifically as a tool to process hard things, grief, loss, disappointment, and even to process good things like extreme enthusiasm and happiness and transition in my life. It was a tool for me as a kid that saved my life. And as I got to be older, I thought, what if I could provide this tool for other people, other young people particularly, as a healing tool, as a way of processing their emotions in a healthy way versus drugs or alcohol or gun violence. Maybe they can find their healing or their wherewithal through their pen. And so the Inkwell provides writing programs for youth and adults that focuses on reflective writing so that individuals can find healing, awareness, and self-love through that writing medium. We do journal campaigns, we distribute journals and express and educate on how to use that journal as a tool to process all the things that life brings at us. And so it kind of answers that question a bit, why poetry for me. Part of it started off being simply something to do because I was asked to do it, but it became a channel for me to process the losses in my life. But as I got older, it transitioned into I want to be able to be great and all the things, have my name in books, right? Those things that every author wants. However, what became more pronounced to me is that if I'm able to provide inspiration and hope and healing for someone else through my words, then my mission is fulfilled. And for me, poetry is a medium of healing and growth and development, self-awareness, all those things. That is what poetry is for me and what I wanted to do for others.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for being my partner in this as well. You, like all of our authors today, you have a poem to read. I cannot wait. Would you take a minute to introduce the poem and then read for us?
Certainly, certainly. What I'm going to actually do is read a excerpt of a poem that's in the book. Chapter 2 is my chapter. It is entitled Poetry, a Prescription for Life's Pain. And when you get the book, if you haven't gotten it already, you'll understand a little bit more about poetry being a prescription. But in this chapter, I talk about how my words were able to help someone in their process of going through cancer treatment. Amazing. And I'm humbled by that. And here is the I guess the highlighted poem from that chapter. And I'm only going to read an excerpt to get your little whistle wet to hopefully you'll buy it if you haven't done so already. This is called Dear You. And this is an excerpt. Has anyone ever told you how strong you are? That your spirit is irrepressible and your wins are non-refundable? Has anyone ever told you that your heart is made of unbreakable feathers, and though it weathers nearly unbearable measures, it keeps thumping and pumping and beating? The charge is held against it. I know that what I'm saying is true, because baby, God made you. He made you with the important metal from the invisible kettle that the Big Dipper rested on. He made you with the periodic table's finest, creating elements just for you, defying gravity just for you. So when I tell you that your strength is strong, don't dismiss me and tell me that I'm wrong. But better yet, stand up in this truth and say it with me. I am strong. I am strong. I am strong.
Oh my goodness. Let's give her some snaps and claps for that. Y'all get some goosebumps with me there? Yeah. Miss Cayenne, thank you for that gift this morning. And that was just a piece of it, y'all. Please hop over to Amazon, grab 100 Poems and Possibilities. You're going to help out the Inkwell. You're going to help me help Miss Cayenne with her mission. I love getting full body goosebumps in the morning. That was awesome. All right. Let's see here. Oh my goodness. I get to introduce to you one of my very favorite people next. And let's bring her up to the stage. Miss KJ Kashula is Brave Kids Books publishing director, a children's book author, illustrator of the Super Duper Secret Collection, and our very own Brave Kids short stories collaboration. She's a book designer and she is an incredible poet as well. And you guys, it's hard for me not to give her more of a shout out because over the last few years, Kelly has come on board here at Brave Healer Productions and really been the inspiration and magic and intention behind Brave Kids books. I'm so proud of you, Kelly, and I'm so grateful to have you here writing a poem for this book, but really for every single thing you do behind the scenes, for everything you guys see, both with Brave Healer Productions and Brave Kids Books. So, my dear, why poetry for you?
Poetry. I actually had to think about this a bit. And when I thought about poetry, I thought about my own experiences. And I find poetry heals not only the reader, but also the writer. It takes you on this amazing journey of looking into your soul and being able to spew these amazing words out onto a page. And for me, being a children's book author as well and creative mindset, I love playing with the way text is written. So the poem that I'll be reading later, if you have a chance to actually see it in the book, you will see that it's written in half italics and half with no italics, and it juxtaposes these two ideologies. And when I was writing this poem, I felt felt like I was finding my place on this earth, because I have two homes. I have one home in South Africa and one home in France. And this poem was that for me. So it was healing the reader and the writer.
Thank you for mentioning, there's two so important things. We'll talk about it in a minute. The visual on the page for a written poem, but then as you heard with Miss Cayenne, the spoken word, and with all of you today, what a gift these things are. Kelly, would you please take a minute to introduce this poem and read for us?
Most certainly. This poem is called Earth, and in brackets, it's home. And as I was saying, it represents the two different homes that I have, which is South Africa as well as in France. And France is in Paris is very concrete-y. There's lots of airplanes flying around. Whereas in South Africa, I have grass and there's birds chirping. So here is the poem. Upon this earth I walk, from tile to carpet to wooden floorboards. There is song in the air, a honk, a siren, and a cellular ring. As I sip earth's water, filled with coffee grounds, birds traverse the skies, chemtrails pointing their direction of flight. A vast sea of concrete grey stretches out, with waves of church bells who ring at the hour. Rich earthly aromas fill the air, perfumed by the cooking pot upon the stove. We will gather tonight around the firelight and listen to stories around the black box. This is home. Within this home I walk, the green grass between my toes. There is music in the air, a tweet, a chirp, and a robin's twitter. As I sip my morning's brew, filled with nature's tea leaves, birds perform aerobatic maneuvers, seasons pointing their direction of flight. In the suburb of my garden, fields of green earth reach out. As the airflow of wind dances, caresses, then kisses my cheek. Spices float upon the air, awakened by grandfather fire. We will gather tonight under the constellations and hear the stories of our day. This is Earth.
Oh my gosh. Yes, snaps, all the claps, whatever we want to do for Miss Kelly. You had me at bird. I mean, like as soon as there's a bird in any kind of writing, I'm like, I'm there. I'm like in the sky flying with the birds. So beautiful. Thank you so much. Thanks for being in this book. And really to all of you, just a humongous thank you for saying yes to this and for pouring your hearts and souls onto these pages. You guys, the book is more than poems, actually. You're going to read the poet author's story first in the chapter, and then they're beautiful poems. Each of our authors have written 4 poems. And then after that, they're going to invite you in with a prompt. So get ready to hear or read those prompts and be inspired to maybe scribble a couple of your own words right there on the rest of the blank page. I love this book so much. It's more than just poetry. All right, let's see here. Let me introduce you to our next poet. I'm going to get her ready and up on our stage. And that would be Miss Corinna Hunter. She is an intuitive and spiritual healer, and she lives in Sydney, Australia, y'all. Corinna, thank you so much for being here. Why poetry?
Yes, I'm very grateful to being here, so thank you. And why poetry? As a child, I always found, for me, like to words and expressing myself was actually very difficult. I had selective mutism as a child, and I struggled with expressing myself. And I only started writing poetry in my 40s when I started getting my spiritual gifts, like downloads, and then I just found the words just flowed effortlessly. The words just flowed and flowed. And then when I read, I was thinking, did I write this? It felt like I was channeling from God's energy. It's like I was able to tap into areas where in other worlds, and I was able to just, if I wanted to write about the leaf, I would write as though I was the leaf itself, as I understood the essence of the leaf. And so I found then a medium. And then when I was sharing to other professional writers and they go, oh, wow, you really have a gift for this. And I did not think much of it. And also for the children's book, it's been like 22 years since I actually wanted to write a children's book. So the seeds already started planting in when I was in my late 20s. I was buying all the materials on how to write a children's book, but it took me 22 years fast forward to now actually be doing it. So here I am.
Amazing, Corinna. I love hearing that story. Oh my goodness. All in divine timing, I'm sure. So you also have a beautiful poem to share with us. Would you please take a minute to introduce it and read?
Yes. Okay, so I wrote chapter 9, and the poem that I'm going to read is the first one, which is titled We Are Self-Weaving Book of Life. Okay, and today I shall weave a story for all, a story that will weave more than just mere words and phrases, a story that will weave magic and healing for all. Today I shall co-create with nature, weave the colors of my soul and allow nature to be heard, weaving this book of no beginning nor ending, a book of no yesterdays and no tomorrows, a book that is weightless yet carries so much depth, a book that potentiates, that matures itself, the never-ending story of our soul. They change and move with the wind and breath of life, the breath of our desire, for I am eternal, for we are all eternal, as we are sentient beings, not just you and I, but all of nature. Nature speaks. Nature has a voice. Move over mind. Blank, clean, open canvas am I. I have no quilt or ink, but the artist is here, ready to quench my thirst and hunger to create, and pull to the light I am, ready to birth something new, something unseen but felt, experienced and lived within my core. As I am a vessel of light, of love, sunlight and moonlight. Infinity shades of light am I, infinity shades of potential. Layer upon layer, falling leaves floating, falling one after the other. I softly, yet gracefully land onto her lap, to the earth mother beneath me, cupping and covering my bare, naked soul. I tasted her ambrosia, her divine fragrance, remembering my call, having my cup yet filled again and again with this eternal light, with this divine nectar. My hunger and thirst has been quenched. I am ready to pour, ready to give a droplet of my divine nectar. Thus the weaving took place with this invisible yet colorful thread, nature's vows spoken, weaving its voice to all who will listen, complete, total surrender and innocence, allowing what needs to unfold, no ego, no mind, just being and coexisting, enjoying this mere presence, this now moment where time stands still, where all possibilities are endless and ready to potentiate. My message is this: so co-create now, ask and it is delivered. Let go of any unrest. Steer your divine engine to the direction that brings more peace, joy, freedom to your life. Light engineers are we. Like these fallen leaves, fallen feathers, I too shall fly free one day. We too shall fly free. Taste the scent of freedom. Taste the scent of here and now. Forget about what flavor will be of tomorrow. What is the flavor of now? The colors of my soul have been threaded. The book is coming alive. We have a choice. Let go of control and just be. Set yourself free. Completely surrender, like the surrendered fallen leaf, and smell the heavenly scent of your divine essence, feeling the warmth of your heart, remembering your true home. Thank you.
Thank you. The book is coming alive. It certainly is today for all of you, making this book come alive in your beautiful reading. Thank you, Corinna. Oh my goodness.
Can I just say the line co-create with nature
Mm-hmm.
blew my mind. It was a wonderful line. Just the imagination of co-creating with nature. That's beautiful. Just had to say that.
I heard one early on too that went something like move over mind. I'm like, yeah, I liked that one. Oh, amazing. Okay, let's move down to Miss Jen Potter. Give me a moment to bring her up onto this wonderful Zoom stage. So, Jen Potter is an author, speaker, and business owner who strives to live her best life every day. You can find her on all the social media platforms under Jen Live Your Best Life. Jen, why poetry?
Poetry was introduced to me really younger in life, and I fell in love with it. And I wrote my first poem when I was in high school. And shortly after I wrote my first poem, I got a lot of critiques. And, when you're in high school and people are talking about, your writing, you take it really personal. And I loved writing, but I got a really negative feedback from somebody and I shut it off. And I've always loved it, but I stopped writing when I was younger. And as I got older, I started, actually writing more stories, but not poetry. But I always felt like something was missing. And one day I just put the pen to the paper and it just flowed, just like Corinna said. The words just come out and it's like, where did that come from? I wrote that, like that was me. And so when I started writing, I started realizing that I was able to express myself in a way that I've never been able to express myself. It's like my soul is like outside of my body. And it allowed me this opportunity to be able to say the things that I wasn't able to say. And it's been a place literally for healing. And the more I do it, the more I feel that I'm healing. But just like KJ said, it's not just me, it's also the reader. And so it's like this beautiful song and dance that we are able to just intertwine and I love it.
Oh my gosh, that one thing someone in school said to you. I wonder how many of us have a moment like that. Yeah, boo. But yay for you that you rediscovered it and it moved through you. So I can't wait to hear the poem that you have to share. Would you take a minute to introduce it and read for us?
Absolutely. So I am chapter 23 and I am a ball of fire. So anyone that knows me, I am this go, go, go. I'm full of energy, full of life, and so much fire. I'm an Aries. So complementary is the ocean. Water is the one thing that calms me down. And so this poem is called My Ocean. It's talking about my soul and how it intertwines with the ocean. Okay. My heart calls to you the way my soul calls to the ocean, longing to smell the salt of the sea, feeling the rhythm of the waves against my body, as I float effortlessly, wanting to feel as if I am one with the ocean. The way I feel when I'm in your arms, you have become the ocean to me. When I go too long without being near you, I feel the strong pull at my soul, sinking like toes in the sand, the waves drawing near you as our love intertwines. Like salt with the water, our ocean is constant. It's forever changing but remaining the same. Its love grows strong and powerful like waves, and its calm embrace allows me to feel I'm exactly where I belong.
Thank you. Gorgeous. My toes were touching that ocean water just now. I love it. Thank you. Thank you all for reading. I've got a question for all of you today. But you know what? I haven't read any of my own poetry on the interviews yet, so I'm going to do it. This is Show Me a Boulder. Show me a boulder on a river, and I'll show you the best therapist in the world. Her flat, sun-baked top beckons me to sit with myself longer than an hour. The bubbly rush of mountain spring, the only words I need. I find a seat where I feel safe. This feels like home, and the voices start. I'm open to listening here. I'm curious. Allow my belly to soften with the exhale. Her flat lines and bold curves spell confidence. I'm held. She's been there before, racked by the storm, trampled by unconscious fools who leave trash. I trust her silence. Wisdom sparkles from tiny specks, cracks, and lines. How I know what she's made of. Basking there, I notice the trees give the breeze a voice. The birds make it a song, and my beating heart, sinking all along, belongs to the rhythm. Show me a boulder on a river, a seat where my soul reigns queen. I connect. I connect with a higher self who can do this life today, even when the battle comes. So there's my Show Me a Boulder. That's the last poem in this book. Thank you for the snaps. Jen, what's the most important thing you want our listeners today to know about poetry?
Is that every time you read it, you feel something different, that you allow yourself to let go of any preconception that you may have about poetry and just allow yourself to feel it.
Yeah, probably one of the foundational things for me is the feels with all of that. I love that answer. Thank you for kicking that one off so nicely.
Thank you.
Corinna, how about you? What do you want people to know about poetry? What's that one most important thing?
I feel that poetry, it taps the inner creative force within you, that magical portal. It's like you tap into that magical self where, you just, yeah, it is just very deep in healing because you touch a aspect of your soul that it's harder for you to connect with. So when you just, poetry is just a way to connect with your pure essence and to let that essence flow through words. It's just like it opens up the channel within you, and just, it's, I don't know, it's just so much potential. It's just for everyone. Like, you don't have to think yourself, even if you think yourself as not being a good writer, just write a poem about something that you love, something that gives you joy. So if you love flowers, pick a flower, imagine you are the flower, and just put pen to paper and just see what comes. Just find an area that passions you, and then you just try it. Get your pen in there and just let that creativity flow, and you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I love the flower prompt. I'm going to use it. Yeah, you guys, poetry is a speed dial to your soul. So read it, write it. Don't worry about not being a writer or a poet. Just like Corinna said, write what you love. Write about that flower. Flowers are one of the small miracles of this life, I think. I've always loved flowers. I don't know about you guys, but roses and hydrangeas, I don't know, those two flowers are my favorite flowers. Beautiful. So, Miss Cayenne, what else do you want people to know about poetry? What's that most important thing for you?
Poetry is a safe space. In the world that we live in, it's definitely important to have a safe space, whether that's through family, friends, family that we've created. And it's sometimes hard to find that safe space. I found it to be that for me. And I think one of the things I'd share with others is that you can create a safe space through the pureness of your writing, whether you're a writer or not, doesn't really matter. There is a place that you can create where there's no judgment, there is just authenticity, there is rawness, there is love that you can create through the power of your pen.
Beautiful. Thank you. I met Miss Cayenne, speaking of safe space poetry families, here in the DC area. Busboys and Poets is this beautiful safe space that poets and performers and everybody, really, you don't have to be a performer, gathers to share, right? On the stage. Ooh, on a stage. I know. It's therapeutic though, right? And are you still hosting in Anacostia? You want to talk a little bit about Busboys?
Yeah, sure. Busboys and Poets it's becoming like of a chain of restaurants, if you will, in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And it is established for the purpose of bringing people together from various backgrounds. Diversity is its main frame, but it's inspired by Langston Hughes. So it's a place of creativity and poetry, very specifically. So I think every Busboys and Poets located in the area has one night, at least one night, that's dedicated to open mic, where it doesn't have to just be poetry. It's an open mic, but our focus is that we like to get on the stage and share our hearts in poetry. And I have the honor and privilege of hosting one of those nights actually in Maryland's Hyattsville location that I'm hosting. And matter of fact, tonight is my night. So after here, I'm going to travel back to the DC area and be hosting open mic night, where I love creating a safe space for people to express themselves, get on the stage for the first time, challenge themselves in a new way. You have your veterans and your newbies, and we just come together and have a great time. So yeah.
So you guys stay tuned, and we'll have some information for you below the video eventually. But April is Poetry Month, and to celebrate 100 poems and possibilities, we're going to get together for an in-person event, open mic event, fun, awesome event. And Miss Cayenne will be there to host that. And can't wait. We did that last year. It was a blast. We were at the Columbia location that time. So Miss Cayenne, another thank you for helping me organize that, and just for being the awesome host at those events that you are. So Kelly, you have yet to answer this last question of the day. What's that most important thing you want people to know about poetry?
I want people to know that poetry is a form of storytelling. And because it is a form of storytelling, it is universal. Poems can speak to age 6 kids or age 90 adults. And every time you read it, the meaning changes at whatever stage you're currently in. So if you are transforming from a teenager into an adult, or a young kid into a teenager, or just going through a midlife crisis, and you pick up a poem, that poem will speak to you in ways that's going to transform your soul. And it is a story that is going to transform your soul. So that's what I want everyone to remember.
Thank you, Kelly. And it's literally changing your brain chemistry, y'all. If you remember that quote I opened the session up with today, it's therapeutic. It's a way to heal. And there is some pretty amazing physiology about this, right? That I want people to understand. So if you're one of those people who I get the comment, I'm not a poet, I'm not really into poetry. I'm like, well, I hope you try it, because this thing of poetry, what if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? I love that question. You guys, this is way, way, way more than a book. This is a generous community of awesome people, some of which you are looking at right now. And if you got the goosebumps, you resonated with something someone said today, drop down into the show notes. I have them all hooked up with their websites and their links. Go explore what they're up to in the world. And they're waiting for you to reach out, ask a question, carry on the conversation. They want you to come read more poetry, right? So please buy your book today on Amazon. You're going to help the Inkwell with that purchase. So go on over there and grab this beautiful book. And hey, guess what? We're having an online party tonight with all of our co-author poets of 100 Poems and Possibilities for Healing. So if you'd like to join us on Zoom and rub elbows with some of our poets, you can find that information down below. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern. And lastly today, you guys, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.